Now, if we're talking about classics, here is one that was popular back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean 1964. This one by Regency Cosmetics. It's actually a splash bottle that I have here in front of me. It's called Jade East Cologne. If you're a fan of High Karate and Brute and all of these other old school men's splash colognes, you're in for a treat, especially an inexpensive one. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's video and I give you my thoughts on Jade East Cologne by Regency Cosmetics, I'll tell you about the smell, the performance, all of that good stuff. But before I start the video, I want to mention that if you're a fan of this type of content, reviews, top 10s, and more, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and please give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would really, really mean a lot to me. So here we are dealing with a fragrance that came out back in 1964, same year the Beatles came to America. This has been around for quite a long time. You go online and of course, there is mention of it smelling similar to High Karate, of which I do own a vintage bottle. And yes, there is a comparison there, and it also gets compared to Canoe. I don't own a bottle of Canoe, but I've tried it in the past, and certainly, yes, there is that comparison as well. And there's something that these cologne types of fragrances all have in common. They do have this bright citrus, and citrus is listed in the note breakdown. There are also spices, woods, and musk. Now, there's a touch of vanilla. In terms of what spices are in here, not entirely sure. I'm sure there's eugenol, which means that there's probably a touch of clove in here. And I'm sure that there are probably some other spices in here, whether it be cinnamon or nutmeg or what have you. And it does have a bit of a spicy personality. Of course, there's an aromatic component to it as well. I'll tell you all about the smell in just a little while. Let's start things off with a quick look, a very quick look at the presentation. So right in the opening of this fragrance, it does actually smell citrusy and a little powdery. And I'm guessing that powdery quality is coming from the musk. Now here's the thing, when it comes to men's fragrances, a lot of gentlemen don't mind an aromatic fragrance. They don't mind something with lavender, something with clary sage, or something with rosemary or what have you. But I know a lot of people don't have that penchant for powdery fragrances, right? Many men have an aversion to powdery fragrances. And when I smelled this one, the powdery quality did kind of remind me of a musk fragrance by Prince Machiavelli, I think it's called. And it also did remind me a little bit, not in terms of quality, but in terms of the olfactive landscape, a little bit of Sartorial by Penhaligon's. So it does kind of have like that gentlemanly powdery quality to it. And I'm guessing it's coming from the musk. I'm sure there are a lot of other ingredients at play here, even though the note breakdown only has like 7 or 8 ingredients or notes or accords. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's only 7 ingredients in here. There's way more than that, of course. But what I'm getting predominantly is citrus and a powdery musk. Now the spices are there and perhaps there's a touch of sweetness, but it takes a while for that sweetness to come through. Vanilla is listed in the note breakdown, and as far as I'm concerned, there's barely any in here. I mean, it doesn't smell like a sweet perfume to me, and that's not one of the driving forces behind this fragrance. Even as far as the woods are concerned, they're synthetic, they're nondescript, and of course, when you take a look at the price tag associated with this fragrance, certainly we're not dealing with any naturals here, and you know, this fragrance has probably fallen prey to what's happened to a lot of fragrances that have been around for many, many decades now, which is that they have been subjected to reformulation, and not just once or twice, but a myriad of times. So I'm sure this is, paling in comparison to what it used to be. And yeah, I can imagine that the original, the vintage formulation of it was probably not as diluted or adulterated, much stronger, much more, powerful, carrying more vehemence with it. But this one is just kind of like this gentle, powdery fragrance with a touch of spice. And of course, it's a splash. It will give you this impression of being well-groomed. And it does put you in the mindset of coming out of a barbershop. And I appreciate how it's able to kind of serve as a portal to decades past. And that's one of the reasons why I've always appreciated fragrances like these and why I continued to purchase fragrances like these. Of course, with that price tag, I said, just for reference sake, it's worth having it in my collection. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for something that's a real head turner, something that is modern, contemporary, something with pizzazz, something that will push out and get you noticed, I don't think this is the fragrance for you. But if you like those old school types of barbershop fragrances, especially if you like splash colognes, definitely check this out. I think this one is a really nice one to have in your collection for reference purposes. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I think that for its time, it was a fairly unique fragrance. Of course, it does get compared to Brut by Fabergé and all of these other old school splash fragrances, Canoe probably being the biggest comparison that I've seen online. But nevertheless, I think it is pleasant. It's just not conveying that modernness or that modernity, if you will, that I think a lot of consumers nowadays are seeking. Longevity on this one is like an hour. So the longevity is not good. I would imagine it's very weakly concentrated. I mean, it is marketed as a cologne, and yeah, I would imagine that. And it has a lot of artificial colorings in it as well. So the fact that you're putting this directly on your face, I don't know. In any case, yes, the longevity, not good. Projection was great for the first 15 minutes of application. It radiated at about an arm's length, and then it dies out very, very quickly. You do have to reapply, unfortunately. If this were available, and I don't know if it is, but if it is available in like an eau de parfum concentration, you'd probably have more luck with that. Versatility, masculine leaning according to traditional standards. Great for the hotter weather. Actually, wear whenever you want. If you're getting out of the shower, you just finished shaving, and you wanna feel like you have that sensation of being, freshly groomed. I think it's going to convey that. I think this one, I'm not even going to put a situation on it because it's not going to last after an hour. So to say it's a casual or formal scent, I mean, nobody's going to smell it on you after that first hour, so it doesn't really matter. Presentation on this one is super cheap, just a sticker. My final verdict on this fragrance is, look, if you like these types of splash colognes, check it out. I purchased it. I always appreciate the fragrances that have served as stepping stones for what we have today. So we do have to pay homage to the fragrances that came before the Versace Eroses and the Dior Sauvages and, these modern powerhouses, if you will. And I think there's a certain charm and allure to some of these old school colognes. So I purchased it for reference sake. And at the end of the day, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching Jade's Cologne by Regency Cosmetics. If you own or have tried this fragrance, let me know what you think. Drop your comment down below. I know there are going to be a lot of older, sophisticated gentlemen watching this video who probably own or have owned a bottle of this. If so, drop your comment down below. I always appreciate the interaction. And if you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up. It would mean the world to me. Thank you again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.